Okay, good morning to everyone. Let us start today's morning session. Our experts are Dr. T. Ramesh is arrived in the meeting. Yesterday also he took a session. I introduced sir, but today, before I start this session, I would like to introduce sir once again. Dr. T. Ramesh sir, he has received his BE in Mechanical Engineering from Madras University in 1995. And he has received master's degree in engineering design from Bharatiya University in 1997. He has obtained his doctoral degree from Bharati Dasan University in the area of composite materials in 2006. Sir is now working as an associate professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu. He has got 24 years of teaching experience. He has published more than 50 technical papers in the international journals. He is also actively involved in the research and consultancy projects. His field of research is basically on finite elementary method and microelectronics material systems and microsystems, biomaterials and composite materials. And he is also a life member of Indian Society for Technical Education. He has authored one book, Introduction to Finite Element Engineering. So now I would like to hand over this session to Sir, Dr. T. Ramesh sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, Srinivas, for your nice introduction. Hope I have done my job better yesterday. So feedback about the presentation is very important. That is the booster for any presenter or expert. Please share your feedback. Apart from online submission, you also share your feedback to my email ID or WhatsApp number, what I have told, what I have given in the PPT. Right. See, yesterday we had a discussion on the role of mechanical engineers in micro electromechanical systems. We understood how mechanical engineers play a key role in developing micro electromechanical system devices. Right? As I was mentioned, that all are pertaining to mechanical deflection or mechanical rotation or mechanical acceleration. Those things may be taken as the input for the development of electrical signal, from which any variation in the environment is detected. That is what the idea is. Also, we touched the role of MEMS played in biomedical engineering in the last lecture. So, human intervention is very important in the case of biomedical engineering. We cannot develop whatever we want and test it with the living human, right? So, we need to follow certain rules and regulations, standards, which was proposed by the World Health Organization, who are whatever the other authorities. But as an academic research, we do some kind of test, like in vitro or in vivo, for the developed materials. So today, the talk is about the application of finite element method in biomedical engineering. As you note that a finite element method is a effective tool for solving any kind of problem, whether it is pertaining to structural or thermal or fluid flow, or it is maybe a interdisciplinary domain like thermal and electrical or electromagnetic and displacement. So it is capable of solving many problems pertaining to many domains. So one such interesting domain is biomedical engineering, where people are now started to use FEM as a tool for solving or for simulating the performance of the developed materials or the developed devices when it was kept inside the body or by laboratory test. So I need to give two different, I would like to touch two different domains. One is biomedical engineering and the other one is finite element method. As a formal questions will be raised. So what is the role of mechanical engineers in this particular domain, biomedical engineering? So I think that will be cleared once you complete this session. So let us have some idea about what is biomedical engineering first. See, biomedical engineering or medical engineering is the application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology for healthcare purposes. As it was quoted here, like engineering principles are highly related to the human activity or the behavior of human parts. A doctor may not be knowing that what is the load carrying or load bearing capacity of a bone. Surface stress developed on a skin or damages on the tissues, right? But all are related to the engineering concepts are the principles, what we learn throughout the engineering studies. So this field seeks to close the gap between a doctor and an engineer, combining the design and problem-solving skills of engineering with the medical biological sciences. To advance, the purpose is to advance healthcare treatment, including diagnosis, monitoring, as well as therapy. So an evolution is common as a new field transitions from being an interdisciplinary specialization among already established fields to being considered a field in itself. One such example is the online teaching. See, we never thought about the virtual conference or virtual, workshops or virtual classrooms. Am I right? You just think about how it has been boomed out. So because of the COVID situation, we were kept apart, but connected through digital medium. Am I right? So any evolution is common. So you should be ready to accommodate whatever the changes happening in the or whatever the field transitions happening during your life period. That is very important. So much of the work in biomedical engineering consists of research and development, spanning a broad array of subfields. So prominent biomedical engineering applications include the development of biocompatible prostheses, various diagnostic and therapeutic medical devices, ranging from clinical equipment to micro implants, common imaging equipment such as MRIs or EKG or ECG, or regenerative tissue growth, pharmaceutical drugs, and therapeutic biologicals. So these are all the important area where the changes in the field or transition happening on a particular field readily accommodate the new technology into the particular field. So the words may be slightly complicated medical terminologies I use here, but you will be very comfortable after attending this lecture. So as I was mentioned, there are many research, academic as well as industrial research are on now with subcategories. So starting from say bioinformatics, biomechanics, genetic engineering, biomaterials, etc., or neural engineering, etc. So bioinformatics is an interdisciplinary field that develop methods and software tools for understanding biological data. See, the role of any mechanical engineers are highly required in such a situation where he will be developing or the integration of computer science engineers along with mechanical engineers are highly required. In the case of developing any new softwares, which is capable of developing or acquiring the biological data in the form of code files. As an interdisciplinary field of science, bioinformatics combines computer science, statistics, mathematics, and engineering to analyze and interpret the biological data. So once you capture the image of the particular biological part, then it is required to integrate many informations or interpret many biological data from that particular scanned image or whatever the methodology you adopt to collect the data. So mathematicians are highly required in order to develop the mathematical model of your cloud-fied data. Of course, and engineers are required to analyze and interpret the acquired data. So biomechanics is a study of the structure and function of the mechanical aspects of biological systems at any level, from whole organisms to organs, cells and cell organelles, using the methods of mechanics. Both static and dynamics are highly required. In the case of our understanding or the concept of statics and dynamics are highly required when you transfer the principles, what you learned in engineering mechanics, or strength of materials, or mechanics of machines in the form of biomechanics. That is very important. A biomaterial is any matter, surface, or construct that interacts with the living systems. As a science, biomaterials is about 50 years old. The study of biomaterial is generally known as biomaterial science or biomaterials engineering. So biomaterial science encompasses elements of medicine, biology, chemistry, tissue engineering, as well as material science. Now, what is the role of engineers over here? So engineers are the people who design a new material which suits the requirement demanded by, or which satisfies the requirement demanded by any biological system, So he must be knowing that what is the behavior of your tissue when a third particle is being introduced into it, right? What is the reactions happening over there? So that should be completely analyzed before going for developing any new materials for biomedical applications. Genetic engineering, it's a recombinant DNA technology, genetic modification or manipulation, and gene splicing are terms that apply to the direct manipulation of an organism genes. So this you might have been understood that what is the DNA modifications or genetic changes happening throughout the world, right? So they are combining, or the DNA has been modified in vegetables, fruits, flowers, etc., in order to design the human desired shape or human desired taste. Am I right or not? So genetic modification is now happening. So unlike traditional breeding, an indirect method of genetic manipulation, genetic engineering utilizes modern tools such as molecular cloning, and transformation to directly alter the structure and the characteristics of target genes. Now, people have started working in this particular domain, how to clone a molecule, how to transform, to directly alter the structure, and how to fine-tune the characteristics of the target genes. So these are all happening nowadays. Apart from that, neural engineering, also known as neuroengineering, is a discipline that uses engineering techniques to understand, repair, replace, or enhance the neural systems. So this is also a recent research happening in the biomedical field. So here, what is the role of engineers? So the neural engineers are uniquely qualified to solve design problems at the interface of living neural tissue and non-living constructs. So inspired from the human neural system, there are algorithms developed like neural network, am I right? Neural network, genetic algorithm. So there are so many things to explain here or introduce here. So all are developed by, inspired from the nature or the human. So tissue engineering is a major segment of biotechnology which overlaps significantly with biomedical engineering. One of the goals of tissue engineering is to create artificial organs for patients that need organ transplants. So biomedical engineers are currently researching methods of creating such organs. Researchers have grown solid jawbones and patches from human stem cells towards this end, right? Several artificial urinary bladders have been grown in laboratories and transplanted successfully into human patients. Bioartificial organs, which use both synthetic and biological component, are also a focus in area in the research, such as with the hepatic assist devices that use liver cells within an artificial bioreactor construct. So these are all the developed artificial human organs manufactured through 3D printing technique. Urinal bladder system, artificial ears and nose for prosthesis or reconstruction of the facial, and windpipe. So there are things already printed by or developed by the researchers across the globe, and they have successfully implanted those laboratory developed components with living organs, the living humans, right? So this is one such a technique where they print artificial human organs. The 3D bioprinting is used for printing the organs. So very similar to inkjet printing. The concept is very similar to inkjet. The collagens are directed through the nozzles, and the nozzle movement is completely controlled by CNC machines. Right? So a medical device is intended for use in different situations, like it may be employed to diagnose the disease or other conditions, or it may be employed in curing, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease. So these are all some examples I have taken from the internet. It's a left ventricular load and aerial load are given to the stent, which was introduced in our human heart. Now, when the pumping is not proper, the pumping of blood is not proper by the heart, it will send an electrical signal to stimulate the performance of the human heart, right? It is a mechanical wire with a number of strands, like 3 strands or 5 strands or 7 strands. But the material is very elastic in nature, so that flexibility is highly required. When this particular electronic device sends a signal, this will be actuated. This will expand and contract simultaneously, so that it will pull and push the walls of the human heart, so that, or it will help in increasing the performance of the human heart, performance of the strength. So this is one such example, like bridging of broken tooth, with the help of a bioscrew, right? Now, doctor may not be knowing that what material I need to use it in order to hold this bridge material, so that it connects these two good quality teeth, right? And what is the thread I want to use it, so that it will be either a buttress thread or V thread or square thread. What kind of thread I need to use it for fixing this bioscrew into the jawbone. Now we have or we'll be worrying about, when a screw is introduced, what about the stress developed within this bone, this location? Am I right? So because of the stress, how much pain a patient will realize. So such kind of things needs to be studied when you want to develop a new material as a mechanical engineer. When a person chews some food, what is the amount of load that will be transferred to the bone through this screw? That needs to be calculated. Am I right? And the other thing is, what would be the expected life of this particular material when it is kept inside for a long period? Whether the material has a nature of or a property of biodegradation, so that it permits the bone to grow inside the material, and what will be the porosity conditions I need to consider over here, so that the tissues are permitted to grow inside the material. So apart from material selection, the people involved in a design of shape and size and the features it requires, bonding strength between the implant and the artificial tooth. So there are large amount of things to be considered before working in this particular domain. So this is another implant, a titanium implant, which replaces the damaged knee a cap. Am I right? So this is a osteoporosis happened over the human bone. So that will be cut out and introduce a new kind of material, a third-party material kept inside the bone. Now it is having a physical contact, maybe a rolling contact happening over here, am I right? Always. So people will be thinking that what is the wear rate when these two parts are making continuous sliding or a rolling contact. So a material engineer or the mechanical engineer needs to desire what kind of material needs to be is to be suggested for this particular application. And also he'll be worrying about how the load will be distributed from the upper part of the leg to lower part. Then the other question is, how to fix this implant onto the bone, how to connect these two by means of any elastic material, right? Very similar to a ligament shape is designed and implanted over here. So it will connect this point and this point by means of plastic material. Very elastoplastic material. I hope so. So this is the implant introduced for replacing the broken chest bone or rib portion of rib bones of the human. Now it has to perform the task achieved by the natural rib bones, right? See, facial prosthesis is another important area where we require large amount of attention. So correction of eyes, right, or nose, or mouth, ears, or etc. So you would have seen many people living with artificial limbs like this. So this is completely developed by applying the engineering principles, mechanical engineering principles, so that the lost man living with artificial limbs very comfortably for a long period. So any medical device, we know that it is intended for either you use it for diagnosis or curing the disease. So when you see the curriculum of any mechanical engineering studies, it covers a broad range of disciplines, including materials, mechanics, systems and control, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, design, as well as manufacturing. All of which constitute a solid foundation for bioengineering. We require material information. We require the concept of mechanics or principles of mechanics. We need to understand how the system and control are directly related to, because we are playing with the neurons and the thermodynamics, talking about the body temperature, blood temperature, fluid temperature, etc., etc. Am I right? The fluid mechanics will be worrying about what is the viscosity of the fluid which is flowing inside our body. There are many fluids flowing in our body, correct? Then design, as well as how those designs are converted into a real product through suitable manufacturing technique. In the case of biomechanics or biomedical engineering, the research includes bioimaging and bioinformatics, bioinstrumentation and design, biomaterials, and tissue engineering, as well as biomechanics. So based on the evolution of today's personal computers and workstations, numerical simulation gained an important significance in biomechanical research. Earlier, before the invention of computers, solving a problem through numerical methods was a challenge. Right? Now, we have personal computers with a large amount of, even mobile phones are integrated with large value of the RAM as well as the processor speed, am I right? Gigahertz, 3.2 gigahertz or 3.8 gigahertz, the speeds are available. So with the help of the advancement in the personal computers and the workstations, now simulation of any system, whether it is a mechanical system or electrical system or electromagnetic system or biological system, it is very simple to simulate nowadays. So a common tool in numerical simulation is Once again, it's a finite element method which can be applied in various ways to solve problems pertaining to different disciplined domains, maybe of structural mechanics or thermodynamics or even acoustics. So the field of orthopedic biomechanics utilizes two major numerical approaches. One is musculoskeletal research, which is based on multi-body dynamics, where the kinematics is very, very important. There we'll be studying how the skeletal system and the muscle activity are playing in a carrying the load or distributing the load, etc., etc. So walking style of humans are dependent, am I right? Because the organization of the skeletal system is different for everyone. So kinematics of that particular skeletal system and the muscle activity are very important. There we apply a finite element method for solving the problem. And the other thing is structural mechanical approach, which deals with, as usual, stress and strain analysis of bones, joints, that is natural and artificial, and load bearing implants. So here the structural mechanical approach is applied in order to understand what is the stress level, strain level of a human bone when he carries a load on his head or forearm, or when he rides a bike, what is the vibration happening over there with his body. So there are many things to be studied with the help of finite element analysis. So there are two different approaches that generally followed in biomechanical engineering. One is about the musculoskeletal research, and the other one is structural mechanical approach. So before getting into what is finite element method, let us have a small introduction about biomaterials. I think some participants have raised query in the last lecture. What is the materials used for this application and that application? But I think the following slides will help him to clarify the doubt. So a biological or synthetic substance which can be introduced into body tissue as part of an implanted medical device or used to replace an organ, bodily function, etc. So this is what the idea of, or the availability of tissues or bones is. Now, a biomaterial is any substance that has been engineered. You underline the word engineered to interact with the biological systems for a medical purpose. The purpose may be of different. Either it is for a therapeutic, like treatment or augment or repair or replace the tissue function of the body, or a diagnostic one. Whether the material is used for detecting the disease or curing the disease. Both the way, the material developed will be used. So why I underline the word engineer is the engineer has a knowledge of developing or designing new material with a combination of different materials. At the same time, he will be worrying about the end effect of the material, because it is being used in the biological system. He always will given higher care in developing or engineering the biomaterials. So biomaterial science encompasses, as I listed in the earlier slide, it is a combination of all. Like the material developer should have the idea about or knowledge about medicine, biology, chemistry, tissue engineering, material science, etc. Then what is a biomaterial? It's a non-viable material used in medical device intended to interact with the biological system. That is very important. Suppose you develop a car, it doesn't have any interaction with the biological system. Am I right? It is interact with the environment, not the biological system. So whatever the environmental effect will be considered while developing the material for or material suitable for automobile application. Because it never will have chances to interact with the biological system. Now then, what are the property we require when you develop a new materials for biomedical applications? One such or one important property or the characteristics of a material should always possess this biocompatibility. So, which is the ability of a material to perform with an appropriate force response in a specific application. What do you mean by force response? They include resistance to blood clotting. It should not involve in the or enhancing the mechanism of blood clotting. Resistance to bacterial colonization, and normal and uncomplicated healing. When I introduce a bioscrew in my jawbone, it never should react or it never should produce any harmful effect. Then what do you mean by specific application? Specific application includes the hemodialysis membrane, the urinary catheter, or a hip joint replacement prosthesis. Note that the hemodialysis membrane might be in contact with the patient's blood for 5 hours. The catheter may be inserted for a week, and the hip joint may be placed inside the body for the entire life of the patient. So now the biocompatibility needs to be checked for this particular or for the developed material, so that it should not have any appropriate or it should have an appropriate force response and for specific application. So this picture shows the responsibility of biomaterials in various domains. So it's a schematic representation of various implants and devices used to replace or enhance the function of diseased or missing tissues and organs. Starting from the eye, say for example, contact lenses are made from third-party material, right? It is not a biological material. Contact lenses. Maxillofacial implants. I will show you what is maxillofacial implants in some other slides. Dental restorations. In order to restore the broken teeth, we'll be using implants. So we need a bioscrew. Normally we call it as a dental implants for holding the broken tooth or reconstruction of broken bone, right? Dental implants, breast implant, vascular implant, wound repair closures, catheters, stent, orthopedic implant. See here. So this is a hip joint, all right? Which connects a leg with the body. fixation device, joint implants, small joint implants, wound drainage catheters, drug delivery system, cardiac pacemaker, etc., etc. There are so many other implants generally used for repairing the damaged tissues or damaged bones or damaged neurons, etc. It's a 3D printed titanium implants as a part of a personalized total solution for orthodontic survey, also known as corrective jaw surgery, as well as for facial reconstructions. You see here, due to some accident, this fellow got broken jaws. This jaw is the single jaw. There is a movable jaw. It is completely broken, and this was connected or reconstructed by means of these implants. Right? See here how the bioscrews and plates are used for reconstructing the broken bones. So this is one such implant, and this is another such implant, or it may be a single implant designed from the captured image through CT scan, and was made with the help of 3D printing. So this, just see how the reconstruction of the teeth are happening here. See, it is very similar to Bolton net, right? Bolton net. This will be implanted here, and I'll be inserting through a screw. You see here the broken bone of fingers are connected by means of bioimplants. So this is called a fixation device. It will be fixed for between broken any bones. So accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid, the verticals, which increases in intracranial pressure within the skull. So that will be completely, bulging will be happening, right? Brain will be bulged. Drug delivery system, I think this we have seen the earlier lecture also. The MEMS application in the biomedical field, drug delivery system. So it looks like a capsule, but it is a micro robot delivered drugs to the appropriate location. So biomaterials are used in various applications. So starting from joint replacements, bone plates, intraocular lenses, that is IOLs for eye surgery, bone cement, artificial ligaments and tendons, dental implants for tooth fixation, blood vessel prostheses, heart valves, skin repair devices like artificial tissue, cochlear replacements, contact lenses, breast implants, drug delivery mechanisms, sustainable materials, vascular grafts, stents, nerve conduits, surgical sutures, clips, and staples for wound closure. Am I right? There is no stitching with the help of what do you call it, suture nowadays. Instead, they use staples, biostaples. Very similar to a stapler pin. They'll put it in our skin to wound for wound closure. Pins and screws for fracture stabilization, and then surgical mesh. So these are a few examples where the biomaterials are applied. This is a IOL for eye surgery. It's an artificial ligaments. When it fails, it will be replaced by means of biomaterial. And this is a bone cement, which is injected through bones so that a fractured vertebra can be treated. Right? Joint replacement. When the narrow joint space are completely cut out from your bone, and it was completely replaced by means of femoral stem like this. This portion will be inserted into this particular part of the bone, and this acetabular cup is placed inside the hip portion of your bone, hip bone, right? And those two will be connected by means of a polyethylene insert, metal femoral head. Right? So this is an example of how the bones are connected by means of bioplates. Just see how the design is. And these two bones are connected by means of this particular plate through screws, bioscrews. Fine. So the ultimate goal of using biomaterial is to improve human health by restoring the function of natural living tissues and organs in the body. Hence, it is essential to understand the relationship among the properties, functions, and structures of biological materials. So, based on this particular, or based on the goal, 3 aspects of study on the subject of materials can be envisioned. One is biological materials, and then implant materials, and the interaction between the two in the body. So, what is a reaction between when I introduce implant into the biological materials? So, the success of a biomaterial or an implant is highly dependent on 3 major factors. First one is the properties and biocompatibility of the implant, the health condition of the recipient, and the competency of the surgeon who implants and monitors its progress. So any successful implant is highly dependent on all these 3 major factors. So it is easy to understand the requirements for an implant by examining the characteristics that a bone plate must satisfy for stabilizing a fractured femur after an accident. Now, this chart will highlight what you mean by biocompatibility. Now, the biocompatibility is studied based on 2 different situations or 2 different situations. Like one is interaction with which part of your body, whether the biomaterial is interacting directly with the cells, or it is making interaction with the muscles and ligaments, or it is directly interacting with the fat, or it is directly interacting with the bones or organs, or it may be developed as a biomaterials with the following effects, like what chemical effect it has, what mechanical effect it has, what is the pharmacological effect, or what about the surface property. Chemical, I'll be studying that. So mechanical and pharmacological, and we have further classification like what is the corrosion behavior of biomaterials introduced, what about the degradation, what is the amount of protein deposition, what about its effect when the protein is deposited on the biomaterial, what about its effect, encapsulation, thrombus formation, calcification is another effect. So when calcification is higher, how your material will behave? Chemically, mechanically, pharmacologically, and the surface effects. So all these things are thoroughly understood. So before checking the biocompatibility of any material, So acceptance of any material should have acceptance of the plate to the tissue surface. That is, it should have a biocompatibility nature and pharmacological acceptability, like non-toxic, non-allergenic, non-immunogenic, non-carcinogenic. And then chemically inert and stable means that no time-dependent degradation. And the material should have adequate mechanical strength, adequate fatigue life, sound engineering design, proper weight and density. Also, the other important acceptance of the material is it should be inexpensive, reproducible, easy to fabricate, and process for large scale production. Suppose, for an example, the meaning of adequate mechanical strength. I cannot use low strength mechanical material because of its biocompatible nature into the human support system, right? Human broken bones. So bone has its own density, its own tensile strength. Am I right? Tensile strength. The material should have equivalent or adaptable mechanical strength or acceptable mechanical strength, even though it is biocompatible in nature, which should have a proper, or the material should have a proper value of the mechanical strength. As I was quoted in the earlier slide, the implants are available inside the body for a long period of time or throughout his life. So the fatigue life is very, very important. So how frequent it fails, that is to be studied before developing any materials. So a class of materials used in the body, starting from polymers, there are metals, ceramics, and composites are now used are used as biomaterials. So this table will give a clear idea about which material is suitable for what application. What about its advantages, relative advantages and limitations? So polymers, including nylon, silicon, rubber, polyester, polytetrafluoroethylene, etc., are the materials normally found in biomedical applications. Apart from this, polylactic acid, polyamide, there are many other materials, PMMA. So many materials available in the polymer category, suitable for developing biomedical devices. The advantages of polymers are resilient, easy to fabricate. The limitations of low strength, it deforms with the time, and it may degrade. So polymers are normally used in the applications in developing sutures, blood vessels, other soft tissues, hip socket, ear, nose. So artificial tissues are manufactured by means of suitable polymers. That is what the questions raised earlier lecture. Now, the the researcher who raised the question yesterday has no direct answer. I cannot say that you use this material for developing or soft artificial skin or the bone, right? It is the responsibility of him to design a new material for the requirement. Because it is a patient specific, biomaterials are not common for all the humans. You please understand that material, that is what I reference, like what about the acceptability of the material to the human. Some material is allergic to certain blood group, am I right? I can have a paracetamol, but my friend doesn't have. The reason because it is allergic to his blood group or his genetic system. So now the thing is, it's a rough idea. The polymers can be used for developing soft tissues, sutures, or hip socket, etc. Metals like titanium and its alloys, cobalt, chromium, stainless steels, etc., are already shown its maturity in the usage as implants in biomedical engineering. The advantages are very strong, tough, ductile, but with the limitation of corrosion, densification, as well as the process involved in making the implants are very complicated. That is a very highlighted limitations of using metals as implants for biomedical applications. Examples are metals can be used as a joint replacement material, dental root implants, phaser and suture wires, bone plates, and screws. I said it is a titanium and its alloy. Now people tried with composite material also. Titanium is embedded with some other material. Stainless steel is embedded with some other material. Or even a ceramic can be mixed with what do you call it, metal powders, and make it as a composite. That depends what kind of device you want to design. Am I right? For what application and to whom it is designed. Ceramics is another category of a material generally used in biomaterials, or used as biomaterials. Alumina, zirconia, calcium phosphates, including hydroxyapatite, carbon, etc., are used as a ceramic material. But you see the advantages of this particular ceramics. It is very biocompatible with biological system. But with the limitation of brittle nature, non-resilience, poor intention, or the limitations of such kind of materials. It is used in dental and orthopedic implants. The composites or the other group of materials normally found in biomedical applications. It may be of carbon-carbon, wire, or fiber reinforced bone cement, etc. When I see the positive side of this particular material group, it is very strong, and we can tailor the properties whatever we require. So that is the greatest advantages of using composite as a material for biomedical engineering. But it is difficult to make. There are challenges in preparing the composites, because agglomeration is a major drawback of this particular manufacturing methodology, right? we should not permit agglomeration of particles at a particular location. That should be avoided. But other advantage is tailor-made property, like porosity can be controlled. I require this much amount of porosity in the system because its bone has such a porous nature, so that it suits well with the patient. So such kind of thing can be controlled when you use composite as a material for biomedical engineering. Examples are bone cement, dental resin, etc. Just to name a few. Any doubt? My flow is okay? Any doubt, or shall I proceed? Hello? Somebody can respond. Srinivas? Hello?
Hello.
Sure, sir. Am I audible? Okay, okay. Okay.
Okay, actually, I just came out, sir. Actually, I just came out. At the time it was happened, I just came out with the guy. Participants are not responding about it.
Yeah, no response from the participant. That is what my.
I will call. I will call my friend, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. Vincent? Vincent? Amit Sarda? Divya Shri? Divya Shri?
Yeah, you are audible, sir. Carry on.
Okay, okay, then. Then I'll proceed. Okay. Okay, I have I stopped here. Biomaterials, biocompatibility of materials. So these are all the requirements for a material should be compatible with the biological system. So the requirements are: it should have a cytotoxicity, hemolysis, mutagenicity, oral toxicity, pyrogenicity, sensitization. I think these things are not required for understanding the material properties, but you should have some idea about what is what. For example, hemolysis is the rupture or destruction of red blood cells. When your material is biocompatible in nature, then it requires such a property. Right? Very similarly, we need to have all the things. And these are all the different kind of implants normally found in the medical applications. Say muscular skeletal system, that is joints in upper, it may be of shoulder, elbow, wrist, finger, and they are the lower like hip, knee, ankle, toe. Extremities like permanently attached artificial limb. Or cardiovascular system, maybe of heart, like wall, pacemaker, entire heart, veins, etc. And the digestive systems like tooth fillings, liver, etc. And nervous system, special sensors, other soft tissues, cosmetic implants, etc. So this is a notable developments relating to the implants developed by many researchers around the globe. It's a small summary. Like late 18th, 19th century, various metal devices to fix fractures, wires and pins from iron and other materials are developed. So in 1958, I think you just have a look on it if you have time permits. So first blood vessel replacement made of cloth is made by Voorhees the year 1952. First successful direct stimulation of heart was conducted by Furman and Robinson in the year 1958. Heart valves are developed by a team from Star in the year 1960, and experimental investigations are conducted on a total heart replacement by Kolf and his team in 1970s. So there are many devices developed, and in 2027, the responsibility of all these four different metal groups or material groups are how it would perform in the 2027 is projected with this bar chart. In 2016, the polymers are used almost equivalent to metallic. Now it is more than that of metallic materials, right? So natural material is growing like this, and this is a ceramics, and polymers are always used in a higher potential compared to other materials. So biomaterial science addresses both therapeutics and diagnostics. The responsibility of the biomaterial science to clinically important medical devices is dependent upon sound engineering design, the testing in vitro, that is in animals and in humans, or clinical realities, and the involvement of industry permitting product development and commercialization. So this is the flow diagram which shows the path from the basic science of biomaterials to a medical device to clinical inspection. So normally the research organization or the research group start to investigate on the developed biomaterials and they will test with available facilities. The groups may be of chemistry, physics, material science, and biology. And then once the material is identified, they will go for developing a device by designing with available data, correct? Engineering to develop a medical device. So medical device will be developed. And then preclinical and the clinical testing will be carried out with the help of animals. Once it is succeeded, then it will be submitted to the authority for regulatory authority for approval. And once it is approved by the regulatory authority, then the product will be commercialized and used in a clinical application. So this is the way how a biomaterial is converted into a product. It has to cross many hurdle situations, right? So it has been segregated into 4 categories. Like first one is material characterization, development of materials and investigating the characterization of that particular materials. So new biomaterial will be developed and microstructural characterizations will be studied, mechanical properties will be investigated. And then the stage 2, in vitro testing, is according to individual cell type in order to understand the cytotoxicity and the genotoxicity. And then it will go for an in vivo implantation, that is a test with animals, in order to understand the tissue viability, histology, inflammatory cytokines, and then toxicity studies of nanosized appear. So it will be studied for a performance of the developed material when it is injected into the animals, will be monitored for a period, and then will be submitted for human trials. Now let us have an idea about what is finite element analysis. So how it is suitable for working with biomedical engineering. So finite element analysis is preferred method for the second group of numerical problems occurring in the orthopedic biomechanics. Means that structural mechanics concept. So due to the resolution of the calculated mechanical parameters like stress and strain, the results get more accurate the more elements the analyzed structure is divided into. Let us have an idea about what is finite element method. It is a numerical procedure for solving physical problems governed by differential equations or an energy theorem. So these are steps to be followed in performing the finite element analysis. Initially, a domain has been discretized to small pieces, and then an element will be selected and defined with interpolation functions. Element equations will be developed in the next stage. Then assemble the element equations into the system equations. Apply the boundary conditions to the system equations, solve the system, and perform any supplementary calculations. I think I'll skip all those things because we have limited time. Yeah. So when you see the applications of finite element method, it is not only used in structural problems, but also used in non-structural problems. Structural problem in the sense, stress analysis, including truss and frame analysis, and finding the stress concentration location. Problems typically associated with the holes, fillets, or other changes in geometry in a body, buckling, vibration analysis, etc. Non-structural problems are a problem involved in heat transfer, fluid flow, including seepages through porous media, distribution of electric or magnetic potential, biomechanical engineering problems, which may include stress analysis. That is, analysis of human spine, skull, hip joints, jaw or gum tooth implants, heart, and eye. So this is a CT scanned image of a human skull. It is well understood that developing solid models of human bones is a challenging job of any designer. The reason because it has its own shape, its own profile, and every millimeters. There is no direct methodology used for developing 3D models of any human bones. So far, it is not available. Okay, before to see the information about the application of FEM, let us see the list of FEM packages available commercially. So starting from ANSYS, we have Abacus, NISA, LS Dyna, Nastron, Patron, Hypermesh, COMSOL, Unix. The list is very lengthy. I have limited to only these commercial packages. So there are a variety of FEM analysis packages available. The reason because every software has its own unique property or unique style of investigation. So this is one such example of using ANSYS, predicting the pressure contours around a light male swimmer wearing a swimming suit. So the swimsuit designers are using this particular software for predicting the temperature distribution of a body, human body, when swims in a pool, swimming pool, right? Now you just think about, say, how many disciplines are involved. Now, the human will be treated as a solid mechanics, am I right? The kinematics is involved because he is swimming with the help of a skeletal system. So because of the action, energy will be lost by this fellow in the form of heat, am I right? In the form of heat. Now, the body is contact with the water available in the swimming pool. So there will be a fluid heat transfer from solid to fluid happening over here. In between his body and the water, it was separated by means of a swimming material, right, or swimsuit material. Now the intention is to design a suitable swimsuit for a swimmer swimming in a pool. Unless he feels that the suit is comfortable, the design never will work out, right? So they used ANSYS as a tool for predicting the comfortness of the swimsuit. There are different disciplines involved. The recent ANSYS workbench has facility to simulate the 3D printed material also. The temperature distribution of the material is completely predicted with the help of the additive manufacturing is can be simulated with the help of ANSYS nowadays. So Abacus is another important package available in the market, commercially available in the market, which is suitable for many applications. It has an advantage of integrating this package with the visual photon, so that any material models can be developed and send those data in the form of photon codes to a backend for realistic simulation. So this is an example of underwater explosion. When it is exploded, when underwater explosion is happening, how the skull portion of a ship is disturbed. It does not skip over here. So this is a blow forming, right? How the bottle is formed inside the die, simulated, by which they investigated the flowability of material, temperature distribution, etc. This is a wrinkling test of a metal sheet, an important test conducted for the material used in automobile applications. Wrinkling is very, very important in the case of automotive sectors. So DISA is another package used in various applications. LS-DYNA is a very good solver, mostly used in various applications like airbag exploitation, projectile penetration, explosives, penetration of bullets, am I right? Firing of a bullet against a human helmet. And then any manufacturing processes like lathe operation or cutting, sheet metal forming, etc. The Naston pattern is another FEM package used in automotive applications as well as aeronautical applications, used to predict various information about the automotive sectors. Hypermesh is a software from Altair, already exploited its importance in the area of creating mesh, suitable mesh for. Normally it is called a high fidelity finite element modeling software. A COMSOL is another important unavoidable finite element analysis software for various applications, especially in the case of micro electromechanical system. It has a huge applications. And the MIMIX is another software. So these are all the examples of simulation carried out by many researchers with the help of COMSOL. So energy harvesting from micro cantilevers, and this is the accelerometer, performance of accelerometer, micro grippers, electromagnetic field simulation, and this is a candle fire, and velocity and pressure prediction of water when a dolphin is swimming at a particular velocity. There are many other informations are available, like metal joining process, welding, simulation of welding. So how the temperature is distributed to those investigated with the help of COMSOL. So MIMIX is a medical 3D image based engineering software that efficiently takes you from image to 3D model and allows you to scale from R&D to high volume clinical operations. So these are the examples of MIMIX software used in biomedical applications. I think I'll show you the software with the simple developments. 3D image captured through CT scan. You know what is a CT scan image is like? It is a slices. It has details of every slice. The slice will be in terms of microns, and this is a 3D model of backbone. Now you just think about, say, how this solid model is developed with the help of any solid modeling packages like SolidWorks or CATIA or ProE. So this is the backbone of a human, right? The gap will be filled by means of cartilage. Nothing but a cushioning material, Now, I'll be taking this from the CT scan image. I'll just show you. It has nearly 1,115 files, or just imagine it is a transparent sheet or A4 sheet, organized one over other. 1,115 number of slices are used to get the data about your bone. Now, from here to here, there are 1,115 slices. Now, every slice, say for example, so this is the first slice. First slice will have only this information. Second, third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, 8. Likewise, you can see the movement of the cursor on the left boxes also. When I move here, you can also see that there is a changes in the cursor location, right? You can interpret the idea about, say for example, at this layer, it takes information about this cross section. On the next slice here, it takes information about this particular cross section. Understood? So now it is laid one over other. Finally, I'll get the bone in this form. So once I get this solid model, I'll be exporting this into a finite element analysis package. Then I'll be meshing it and do or assign some property of the material, and then perform any kind of analysis like static or dynamic, whatever I want. Able to follow me? Now, so one such, so this is the one shows the information about the cross-sectional details of the bones, tissues, etc. So this is scanned through computer tomography. That is CT scan. I'll connect my system with the 3D scanner. So this is a scanner, 3D scanner. So imported from China. Then the capability of capturing. So then capability of capturing the topology of this particular device. I'll show you the shape. So this is the one I want to scan now, right? Which has intricate shapes. And it has some profile also inside. Right? Now this scanner has so this is a product to be scanned. Here I have a rotary table, which is program controlled. It has a capability of rotating with the precision of 2 degrees. Means that to complete one revolution, the maximum of 180 rotations is possible, right? Yes, it's possible. So this is a scanner which will scan or which will collect the digital cloud points of this particular shape. Once the topology is identified, I'll be doing some reverse engineering, right? Some test on this particular component. Very similarly, when I ask a person to sit and use this as a hand scanner, I'll be scanning it for any shape, even a human's face, right? Let me do it physically. I'll be scanning this component with the help of handheld board, right? So we're able to see my Shining 3D software. Are you able to see my screen? Scanning screen? Yeah, are you able to see my scanning screen?
Can you please? Yeah, we are able to see, sir, your screen.
Okay. Now, this is the product to be scanned.
Sir, can you please make it big?
Which one?
Size, say, like this only. Yeah. So, अभी बढ़ रहा है सर. हाँ, जूम कर दीजिएगा सर. हाँ, ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत अभी ठीक है.
So once I start scanning this object, you can see that how this you can see the cloud points generated as a blue dot, right? The middle of the screen, you are able to see the blue color lines, blue color data generating. So it has completed 20 rotations. As I have given a 30 number of rotations. So this is a cloud point. I think when it is fixed on a tripod, I'll be getting a better job. These are the cloud points which will be generated in the form of 3D models for our analysis. Right? So by which a component can be or a biological information has been captured and will be converted into 3D model with the help of Mimic software. We use either X-ray imaging or CT scan or MRI scanned images or ultrasound, even ultrasonic sound image may also be useful for developing 3D models. So once the 3D models are developed, it is possible to work with different kind of applications, like analysis. You understand what is the topology of the human bone derived. If it is broken, I'll be mapping a topology which is very similar to the curvature what you have in your bone, and then I'll be developing a place, right, in order to reconstruction of the bone natures. So this is a comparison between different medical imaging techniques. Starting from radiography, we have CT, MRI, or ultrasound. Their contrast and then cost levels are compared here. So this is one such example of how the X-ray scanned image is converted into a 3D model, where our intention is to find out what is the distribution of what porosity within the material. That is what it is analyzed. Similarly, a patient-specific mesh design was conducted. The hip bone, the nature of hip bone, is completely based on the sexual instruction, like whether the hip bone belongs to a human, male or female, both are different. So the analysis is completed over here with the help of finite element analysis. But they used X-ray to capture the information about the shape of the human hip bone. And this is the CT-based finite element model created for jaw, lower jaw. To see how the 3D models are developed. And there are many other things like loading of an implant in order to study the behavior of the bone. It was conducted by many people. I think when you see the literatures, you can find a number of things are already conducted. Very similarly, MRI-based finite element models can be developed, and this is a solid model and the mesh model of a L4, L5 bone. Similar kind of analysis we have also performed. My BTech student was conducted or was investigated the behavior of backbone, his own backbone, when wearing a laptop bag for a long time. What is the influence of the weight? The laptop bag will have nearly around 5 to 6 kgs continuously hanging on your shoulder. How it will give an effect on the particular human bone. That was investigated by my student in the year 2017-18. So once the model is ready, I think nothing could be serious. Like we can conduct many tests, like compression test also we can do, tensional test, or rotation test, or torsional test. Everything can be done with the help of finite element analysis softwares. So this is the quite interesting observations I found in the literature. Study of complete backbone structure for a girl. Normally we call this posterior anterior. Then after, this is a pre-operative question, and this is 2 years of follow-up, how the bone would get straightened. That was simulated over here with the help of finite element analysis. Apart from that, there are many investigations already carried out in the field of finite element analysis, especially for biomedical simulation. The stent, and this is the CFD analysis of heart, how it behaves, right? Flowing of blood inside and coming out. So that could be That was some simulated help of FEM packages. So this is a stress distribution when swaying of any hard material with the help of the tool. See, apart from that, we have investigated the stiffness of a goat eye. It was conducted by my own student, this scholar. It was not published, so I don't want to reveal all the information. I just want to show you the experimental facility we have developed. So it is a micron tester, which is run based on stiffness of the material. The goat eye was procured freshly from the shop and studied the stiffness value of stiffness of the eye, goat's eye. There was a probe displacement amplifying compliant mechanism based polyethylene probe, which touches this stiffness or the outer surface of the eye, goat eye. So based on the deflection, it will produce necessary force in the software, by which we conducted experiment with the two different conditions, with the formaldehyde in solution and without treated. So this was the force displacement curve we obtained during the experiment. I think it has to be published, so I don't want to discuss further about this. With this, I would like to conclude today's lecture. Any doubt, please ask. Dharam Singh, he was asking about which machine is used for scanning, sir. It's a 3D scanner. This will give a topology of any component. Suppose if I think I'll demonstrate one minute.
Anybody has any other doubt? I will show you. अनम्यूट कीजिएगा सर. सर कैन यू प्लीज अनम्यूट रमेश सर. हेलो. Yeah, fine.
I'm scanning my own face. So this is the instrument we use for scanning the data. The top attachment is used for scanning the texture of the human. The color also can be captured with the help of this. Right? Skin color can be captured. There are 3 modes available with this in Scan Pro. We'll keep it on a tripod like this. Normally we call it as a fixed scan or handheld and then rapid mode. There are three modes available. So scanning can be done with the accuracy of 40 micrometer. Every component has been the resolution of 40 micrometers. So any other queries? Any other doubt?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay. I thank all of you for
Okay,
your
sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.